nap and was hungry. Was not ready for dress up. So this is Landon Josephine Laws. She is 3 weeks and 2 days today. She finally got back to her birth weight yesterday at 3 weeks and 1 day, and we are so excited. I'm so happy. I have been working nonstop for 3 weeks to fatten this little baby up. She was born 7 pounds 10 ounces. 2 days later, she left the hospital and she dropped down to 7 pounds 2 ounces. And then day 3, we went to the pediatrician in the morning. She wasn't even home for 24 hours, and she had dropped in weight, I think that night, under 7 pounds. I think it was 6 pounds 14 ounces. So just to back up, I mean, breastfeeding is really, 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 really hard. I had no idea how hard it was going to be. And it's really not, like, physically difficult. I mean, it is, I guess, but the hardest part really has been just making sure that she's getting enough food. And you're like, I just felt like there's so much out there, like you need to exclusively breastfeed, and there's nipple confusion, and you shouldn't use a pacifier, shouldn't use a nipple shield, shouldn't use a bottle, shouldn't formula feed. Like, all these things you shouldn't do. And these, like, it's just like a purist, like, you really need to just breastfeed only. And if I could, I would have. And then you feel so guilty trying other things, and then you just feel guilty that, like, I feel like I was starving my child and I didn't know. And it was really, really hard. So back in the hospital, she latched on skin to skin right away, and she ate for an hour. And then the 2 days we were in the hospital, lactation consultant came in both mornings. They were wonderful. They were so helpful. But they looked at me and said, "Oh, her latch is perfect. She's such a good latch." And that was it. And they watched and they gave me some tips, and it's like they just assumed she was getting milk. But who knows if she was, and they didn't really explain to me that even though her latch is good and it looks like she's eating, like, what were the signs that she was actually getting milk. So that was really stressful. I had the confidence going in because she would stay on breastfeeding for like an hour and 20 minutes at a time, and she was cluster feeding like every hour. And looking back, I mean, I don't know, but I think that she wasn't getting enough milk out of me. Her suck wasn't good. Like, she latched on fine, but like, now that I know what a proper suck feels like and I can hear her swallow, she wasn't doing that. And that really wasn't explained to me at all. So we left the hospital, and they didn't seem concerned by her weight loss. They said every newborn that happens, and she'll get back to her birth weight in a week, probably. Well, that's the goal. Well, that didn't happen. So we were admitted to the emergency room day 3 because her bilirubin was high. And it was awful. Like, I was just in tears. They were trying to get an IV in her, and I mean, her little veins are so tiny. And they gave her a pacifier. They asked me if it was okay with, like, sugar water to try to soothe her and calm her down. And we didn't get a room in the hospital to go on the bilibed, I think, until 3 o'clock that day. So and I tried to put her on to breastfeed, and she really wouldn't. She would fall asleep. And that was kind of the way it happened for like 3 days. I would take her off the bilibed every 2 hours and try to feed her. And she, I think when she was jaundiced and she had high bilirubin, so she was just very tired, didn't want to breastfeed, and would just fall asleep. And I would try to wake her up, tickle her feet, blow on her, get her naked, and she just wouldn't feed. And the nurse in the emergency room was like, "Have you pumped yet?" And I was like, "No, like, this is, like, she's 3 days old. I have no idea what's going on." She's like, "Is your milk coming?" I was like, "I don't know, like, my boobs feel like they're fuller, and there's some white stuff coming out, so I would assume." And she's like, okay, we'll get you up in the room, we'll get you a pump to see how much you have, and we'll send up a lactation consultant. I was like, that would be wonderful. So a pump shows up, and then like no lactation consultant ever came, and the nurse like didn't really know how to use the pump, and it's just things were so chaotic that I don't know, I guess I never asked for the lactation consultant. And when people ask you, like, is your milk in? Have you let down? Like, for a first-time mom, day 3, you have no idea what that means. And no one really could explain to me what it meant. So Monday and Tuesday, we are back home, and she's doing her bilibed at home. And they sent out a nurse both days to check on her and pull her bilirubin levels. And the second nurse was a lactation consultant. And I pretty much just bawled my eyes out crying to her because they weighed her as well. And she wasn't gaining weight like she should have. And then I went into the doctor as well, and they were like, you need to supplement with formula. Which upset me because you just want everything to go perfect and just breastfeed because, you know, hopefully they think that's the best thing for your baby. There's so many benefits. So they were like, breastfeed her and then give her 2 ounces after every feed and see what she takes. So then I was like, I've got to figure this out. Like, I need to figure out how to make sure she's getting what she needs from breast milk. So the second nurse on Tuesday, so she was 6 days old, was a lactation consultant. So she recommended eating oatmeal with flax is some of the best stuff that you can eat. So since that day, I actually had some oatmeal flax in my pantry. So since that day, I've been eating oatmeal every day, which, by the way, a side effect of oatmeal because of the fiber is gas, and I've had horrible gas ever since I've been eating oatmeal. And she's had bad gas too. I don't know if it's related to me and my gas, but it may be. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword with that. The other thing I read was dried apricots. So I've been eating those. I have those here in her nursery. And those are from Trader Joe's. They're so good. Don't get the Turkish ones. Those are so gross. Do not eat mint. That's something else that's bad. And make sure you're hydrated. So that was very helpful, and she weighed her naked, and then I breastfed, and she got about a half of an ounce per boob. So that's good, but it's not great, and so I had to start supplementing with formula. The other thing the same nurse recommended was nipple shields. So my husband stopped that night and got a bottle for her formula, and then got nipple shields from Target. And I had said to her, you know, like, I was just concerned about nipple confusion, like, will she stop breastfeeding, blah, 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 blah. So I started nipple shields on day 6, and it was a game changer. Like, she was getting milk out like she wasn't before. I could tell, like, I could hear her swallowing, and I could see it sitting in the nipple shield. And it also saved my boobs because my boobs were new to breastfeeding, and they hurt a lot. So it helped with sore boobs as well. And then also, just a side note with sore boobs, I'm sure you've heard this, but a hot shower is so amazing. It feels so good. I thought the first time I got in the shower, like, it would hurt for some reason, but it didn't at all. Like, the warmer it is, the better it felt. And then the other thing I've been putting on it, coconut oil. I use coconut oil for everything. And then this stuff, which is Medela Tender Care Lanolin. So those are the 2 things I've used when they've been sore, which it was really only in the beginning. It hasn't really been much since. So that was like her first week. And then so the next day, her second week began, and I had to go in every like 2 or 3 days to the doctor for a weight check, and she still wasn't gaining like they wanted her to. She was gaining very little. They wanted her at like a half ounce or an ounce a day weight gain, and she wasn't doing it. So the nipple shield, though, immediately I noticed a difference. We have the Hatch. Can you say hi? She has a black tear duct. Who is a good girl? Doing a burp? Doing a burp? Such a silly dress Mommy put you in. Daddy's gonna love it though. So we have a hatch. It's a changing table and scale. And the app that comes with it is amazing. You can track diapers. You can track her weight. Obviously, it's a scale. So that has been so helpful because I can weigh her every day and just see what she's been doing. So once I got the nipple shield and once we got the formula going, she's been doing about 4 to 5 ounces of formula a day, and that hasn't increased. And then we got the nipple shield going, and she was getting a lot more milk from me, and my milk was coming in and getting stronger. I tried to pump that week, and hardly anything came out. It's just like that free Medela thing with the insurance. I called the La Leche League, and they were kind of helpful. They recommended the pace feeding, which was interesting. She also said don't use the nipple shield and try not to do formula. So you just get so many opinions from people, and honestly, like, you just have to go with your instinct. She, in the end, has not had nipple confusion. She loves to eat from a bottle. She loves to eat from the breast. She loves to eat from a nipple shield. So I just think you have to figure out what works for you and your baby and just make sure she's getting fed, obviously, in the best way possible. But so far at 3 weeks, we have tried everything, and she's not confused by anything, and she just likes to eat. So she's probably just happy to be eating. So I found out my insurance does cover 6 visits with a lactation consultant. So she came out last Friday and weighed her, and basically just helped me with trying to figure out problem solving. And she was really helpful, and she said a nipple shield is great. She's like, do whatever you need to do, you know, to get her going. And the other thing I heard was you need to do 20 minutes on one side and then finish her off however much she wants on the other side. And she was like, no, that's not the case. Like, an ounce is an ounce. It doesn't matter where it comes from, the beginning or the end of the milk. Like, an ounce is an ounce. And then from Monday to Wednesday, she had gained 1.5 ounces a day, and I was so excited. We don't use the nipple shield as much at all anymore. I slowly weaned her off of it, and she's happy just doing either. Some other things we've done is try like a million different positions. In the beginning, she really liked the football hold, so we did that a lot with the Boppy pillow. Something that she loves right now, I'll put her skin to skin and I'll lay down, so it's like the laid back hold, and I'll be laying down, and all of a sudden she lifts up by herself like tummy time and like starts moving her head over to the boob. And she just kind of lays like this, and I lay her head against my arm so she can breathe, and she eats laying face down. And the lactation consultant had recommended that because she said that she can control the amount of milk that she gets. And the past week, she really seems to love it. So we do like 1 or 2 of those a day when she does her feedings. We've also done where you lay down on the bed on your side, and she lays down as well. She likes that pretty good too. The problem is that it's easy to fall asleep like that. So I try not to do that in the morning or late at night. So the lactation consultant came out this past Monday, and we tried to pump again, and nothing's really coming out. And she blamed the pump and said that I might want to start renting a medical grade pump. I think they're $60 a month because the pump I have just isn't doing a very good job. I don't know. Because I pumped, nothing came out, but then like I expressed milk and plenty squirted out, and like it was even like dripping down on her. So it doesn't make sense that the pump wouldn't work. I guess just sometimes these pumps don't work very well, and mothers just really express milk and let down when the baby is on you. So that could explain that. Like I said yesterday, at 3 weeks, one day, she got up to her birth weight of 7 pounds, 10 ounces, which I'm just so happy about. I mean, she looks so much bigger to both my husband and I, and she seems healthy, and she's always pooed and peed a ton. when people said, like, you'd be talking so much about another person's poo with your husband, like, oh my gosh, that's all we talk about is what color her poo is, how many times she's pooing, and how many times she has wet her, she has a wet diaper. I'm like so happy to do it, and I feel like we're out of the weeds, but when the doctor told us, like, she needs a supplement and she's not getting enough food, it was devastating. And I mean, I just sat her out. Really, it's all I do is sit around in some sort of nursing tank top or top and like a robe and pants and just feed her as much as I can. Just trying getting her weight up and getting her healthy. And it was a struggle right after the bilirubin because she was still like lethargic and not feeling well and didn't want to eat. So that was very stressful, and just trying to get her up and awake to eat. But now she's doing so good and we're so happy. I just honestly never thought it would be this hard. I had no idea. And the thing is like I talked to so many consultants, so many experts, the doctors at hospital, doctor in emergency room, doctor pediatrician, and you hear so many different things and everyone has a different opinion on everything. And there's no one way and there's no answer like that anyone can give you that's going to solve the problem. It's really just a matter of figuring it out and trying to do your best and figuring out what works for you and your baby. So something else I did was I made lactation cookies, and they were so good with oatmeal, flax seed meal, and what was the other? Oh, brewer's yeast, chocolate chips. I'll put a link to the recipe below, but they were so delicious. They're not healthy for you though, like it has a lot of sugar or brown sugar and flour. So I wish they were a little bit healthier, but I went through an entire batch of those in probably like a week. So I would have oatmeal in the morning, then I would snack on these oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. Something else that the lactation consultant told me was that the pump and dump, you don't really have to worry about that anymore, that they figured out that you could have one drink, and then as long as you just wait 2 hours to feed, that the one drink will be out of your system. So on Father's Day, I had a glass of wine for the first time since August, I think. And oh my gosh, I felt it so much. And because we're supplementing with formula, I was able to feed her with formula. So it was actually, I had one glass of wine. I didn't feed her for like 4 hours. So it was definitely out of my system by then. Want to eat more? Want to eat more? Who's a good girl? Rachel commented on my video on the bilirubin. She recently had a baby and she had issues with birth weight as well. So I just wanted to say that really helped me a lot. I was so upset and just felt like it was only happening to me, but I guess it does happen to a lot of people. I know, let's eat. Okay, we're gonna eat. We need to get her weight up. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time, won't we? Let's get some food in you.